Appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
We're on.
I guess we are. Who knows?
So I want to start my message this morning with what I'm calling my own adaptation to a poem by Mary Oliver. The title of it is What is the Greatest Gift? But I've changed a little bit of the wording. What is the greatest gift? Could it be the world itself? The oceans, the meadowlark, the patience of the tree and the wind? Could it be love with its sweet clamor of passion? Something else entirely holds me in thrall. That you have a life that I wonder about as much as I wonder about my own. That you have a life courteous, courageous, intelligent, that I wonder about as much as my own. That you have a soul, your own, no one else's, that I wonder about as much as I wonder about my own. So that I find my soul clapping its hands for yours as well as my own. So in preparation for this morning, I spent a good while this past week reflecting on the many prepared messages I've brought to friends here at Winston-Salem meeting over the past 21 years. Without a doubt, the majority of them are related to spiritual growth and emotional well-being. I've managed to squeeze in a few science lessons from the likes of Quaker astrophysicist George Ellis and Jocelyn Bell Burnell, who I had the pleasure of meeting and hearing speak at New Garden meeting sometime in the early 2000s. She's delightful. Out of all of those messages, I figure there's at least one important topic I haven't touched on. And that one that came to mind is a topic that all of us deal with on a daily basis. And it's one on which every and any community is built on. And that is friendships. Not the friends as in Quaker friends, but in the companions along life's journey kind of friends. For the most part, as far as I know, we really don't have much of a choice about the families we're born into. Those relationships are what I called built in. They're built into the family structure. For, as my grandmother would say, for good or for naught, you're in the family. In contrast to me, friendships mostly arise out of some sort of choice that we get to make. When it comes to friendships with people who are part of the same community, whether that's work or in worship or some other group that is gathered, the relationships between community members are part chosen, like friendships, and part built in, like a family. We've all been on a committee that's like that one person. It's like, I will never be their friend. We can't help it. They're part of the workforce or they're part of our team. And that's a built-in relationship that we just have to deal with. And there are others that in that community, we choose those friendships. Whenever you participate in a community, you'll be with people you like and you'll be with people you don't particularly care for. That's kind of a southern phrase. Don't care for them. My perspective is this blend of part choice and part no choice. makes community-based friendships really challenging. Each of you has likely formed some kind of close relationship or two within the communities you're a part of. FEMA might, or Friends Disaster Service FEMAP would be a good one. That these are people you see on a regular basis. But how do we as individuals and as a community stay connected to each other despite of and in light of differences that are inherent in every group of human beings? I say where two or more are gathered, there's politics. So how do we stay connected? Well, when it comes to connecting, I think Winston-Salem meeting does a great job of fostering community ties by carving out time and space for sharing outside of the meetings for worship. The mainstays, I think y'all all know, the Bible study group, Koinonia, the Saturday breakfast, carry-in meals. These gatherings do a good job of bringing people that I don't normally see, like those who join in the unprogrammed meeting for worship that don't stay for the overlap, and vice versa. And we all love it when food's involved, so that's a plus. Committees are also another way to connect to each other, and I don't know if I'm making this up in my mind or I'm just now noticing, but there seems to be of late a strengthening of community function here at the meeting. I've heard 3 different people say, "Oh, I'm on this committee," or "I'm on that committee." It's like, where's that coming from? You know, it's like everybody feels like they have a focus now. And having a focused role within a community provides the opportunity for casual conversations and a chance to connect with each other over a specific goal, like the goal to have the meal set up and ready for carry-in meal, or over a mutual value like FEMAP, or special project. Celebrating special milestones, sending out newsletter and the directory, maintaining a list of prayer concerns and celebrations. All of these are ways that we have an opportunity to stay connected here. So once a friendship gets established within a community, how can we nurture that relationship? If you asked Google, or as Tracy calls AI, Ken, if you ask Ken, you'll find lists and lists and lists of ways to deepen any relationship. But I wanted to bring to you 3 different aspects, 3 key facets that I think are the most important. And to me, the first one involves just the right blend of being honest and being non-judgmental. An honest friend can tell you a truth that perhaps you can't see it for yourself. They're this, what I call the grocery store mirror. If you ever been in an old grocery store, the convex mirrors that you can see all around, and a friend can do that for you, see your blind spots for you. A non-judgmental friend will do their best to understand your life from your point of view. They'll walk that mile in your moccasins. In being non-judgmental, we do our best to stay open-minded about our friends' choices, and also to try not to insert our own biases into their decisions. And that's a delicate balance of how we can be honest and non-judgmental, but it's a key to forming a well-founded relationship. The second key to deepening a relationship is something I'm sure I've talked about before. In fact, I think I maybe preached on it. Probably so, because it's so necessary. And this is that itchy word called boundaries. 1998, a friend of mine told me, "You don't have any boundaries." I said, "What's a boundary?" That's my cue. But boundaries are vital to a small community as much as they are vital for families, in that they are both groups in which people are vulnerable. We, in a group like this, we see people's tender spots and we witness their tender moments and their delicate stories. And so a boundary is really important. One way we can show respect for our friend is by maintaining a boundary of confidentiality. Don't assume that your, what I will call church, your church friend's story is for everyone else in the meeting to know. Allow your friend to speak on their own behalf and to tell their own stories, unless you have explicit permission to do so yourself. Can I share this with others is fair enough to say. In my family, I always knew I could just tell one of my multiple siblings and my parents and just watch the second hand on the clock to see how fast it would go through the whole family. I did that as a change consultant too. It's like, I'm going to see how the grapevine works around here. And I would say something in confidence, knowing that it was going to get out, and see how it tracked through to see who drove the grapevine. So on the flip side of healthy boundaries, we have to ensure that we include our own needs alongside of our friends' needs. Long ago, I had a church friend with whom I shared a lot of time outside of church, since our children were the same age. But once the kids no longer demanded our undivided attention, they didn't want to hang out with their moms, we would meet for lunch during the work week, off and on, because we both lived in different cities. And one day it struck me that, I think our relationship has become one-sided. I was learning that boundary thing. And so I called her and we went to lunch like usual. And she confirmed my suspicions when she spent 50 minutes of our lunch hour talking about herself and her life. And then with like 2 minutes to spare, we were at Mayberry's. She's like, "Oh, how are you, by the way?" I'm like, okay. So I decided I'm not going to call her. I'll see how one-sided it really is. I've yet to hear back from her. So unless I was doing all the work and all the listening, it really wasn't a friendship. In the poem I read earlier by Mary Oliver, she originally writes in the poem, "Your life is more important to me than my own." And I think only in rare situations is that a healthy truth. We know the people that, yes, their life is more important than our own. But for the most part, it's more likely a strong indicator of a codependent relationship. Healthy boundaries make each person's life equally important in a friendship. The third facet of deepening connections is that we actively listen to the other, rather than to think we know what they're talking about, or as we all do, we formulate our answer to what they're saying before they've even finished saying it. we are already a step ahead in the conversation, in our minds. Then there's the game of what I call one-upping, which we're tempted to tell a story that starts with, "You think you've got it bad, well, just yesterday," or, "Well, when I was younger, ... And then we proceed to trample right over what our friend had laid out in front of us to share. So rather than rushing in with answers or fixes or comparisons, there's a helpful clarification that we can ask a friend with a difficult story or a challenging situation. After we've paused for a bit when they finish their story, we can ask them, "What do you need from me right now? Do you simply need to be heard? Do you need to be hugged? Do you need to be helped?" So it's heard, hugged, or helped. Maybe it's some of all, but right now, what do they need? Every situation, every story is going to be different. And only our friend has the answer to their current need. That doesn't mean they can't come back and say, "I really, like you said, Carolyn, I need a hug." When's the last time you asked the other, when they're telling you a difficult situation, "How can I best help you in this moment?" Without a doubt, connecting with on an authentic and care-filled level to the people that sit around us every first day worship. That's the beginning of a friendship. But being honest, yet non-judgmental, setting healthy boundaries, and actively listen to the other's needs. Those are pivotal ways we can deepen friendships. And you know, it feels kind of trite to be talking about friendships on a day like today after such devastation in the mountains, but I got to thinking that, you know, these approaches would serve to nurture any relationship. We assume we know what everyone who's experienced devastation needs, but it might not be true. You don't even have to know someone or like them to take these steps toward mutual respect. You're allowing the other person to have their half of the relationship when you're honest and non-judgmental, when you establish and maintain healthy boundaries, and when you listen deeply and ask them, hugged, heard, or helped. I believe the world will be a better place when we each become skilled at using these three very basic tactics with every person we encounter. And so it is. Amen.